Good evening. My name is C.T. Red, and I'm a president at Garner Magnet High School, led by Principal Drew Crook. And I would just like to say thank you first to the committee for having such a ceremony like this to keep going for years. Dr. King's dream has definitely been lived out at Garner Magnet High School. I can tell you firsthand that during my AP US History class last year, we learned so much about how much fire and fought was so that blacks and whites were integrated. And it made me step back and look at my school and realize how thankful I should be that I can walk down the hallways and say hello to anybody I want. I can drink at any water fountain I want, and I can enter any restroom I'd like. I can go out to a nice lunch with any friend, whether black or white, without being harassed. And it's different. You grow up learning about stuff like that, but you never really appreciate it. And I'm so thankful for the wonderful staff at Garner for being able to teach us stuff like that so that I can be thankful for where I am. I pray that we not only as a community look at that dream, but we make it a reality and that we live it out throughout our daily basis. On behalf of the school, I'm so honored to be here, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, the next individual who I'd like to welcome to the stage is Mrs. Mary Yarborough. She is a retired educator, and I had a chance to speak to her briefly backstage. This was the first time that I met her, and I asked her, how long have you been an educator? She said 33 years. And then someone else chimed in, she helped build the place for Garner Magnet High School. So we're gonna hear from her next, and she has a very interesting story to share. But first, we have the Hall sisters joining us. Please give them a warm welcome.
There was a boy, a very strange, enchanted boy. They say he wandered very far over land and sea. A little shy and sad of eye, but very wise was he. And then one magic day, he passed my way. And as we spoke of many things, fools and kings, this he said to me: the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love just to love, just to love and be loved in return, loved in return, loved in return. There was a boy.
That was a beautiful rendition from the sisters, and it makes you feel good to know that sisters can get along to accomplish such. Honorable Mayor Williams, other distinguished guests, and visiting friends, it is an honor for me to have been asked to speak on the topic, the role of a teacher then and now. I have been asked to try to limit it to 8 minutes. But those of you who know me, this is a topic that lends itself to 40 years, not 33, but 40 years of my life. While thinking about what I would say, I thought about the late Dr. Helen Edmonds, a professor of history at North Carolina Central University. She could deliver a 15-minute speech in 3 minutes. Now, I will try and attempt to use her technique today. Please allow me a minute to pause and recognize my little family, my daughter Debbie, Eric, and my sweet little daughter, grandbaby Erica, LJ, and Paquita. Would you all stand for just a minute? Thank you. Up, 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 children. Okay. Some of them may not have arrived yet. There is no other person on earth who has a greater influence on a child's development than a teacher. A teacher is the central processing unit of all professions and careers. They are entrusted with the greatest asset in this world, 6 to 8 hours a day, 12 years of their lives. The role of a good teacher is one that embodies the desire to learn and become very knowledgeable in a subject area. It is one that encourages and motivates students to find and develop their talents and abilities, and is one that helps to shape personal development by encouraging moral character. A good teacher, whether then or now, must possess the dispositions of being a loving, caring, competent, committed, and morally sound person. In the first half of the 19th century, the requirements for entry into the teaching field were modest. New teachers had to persuade a local school board of their moral character, and in some districts pass a test of their general knowledge of U.S. history, geography, spelling, and grammar. In the 21st century, teachers are required to attend a college or university to earn an undergraduate degree, complete student teaching requirements, and pass a state exam to become state certified. They are also encouraged to earn a master's degree and receive more professional development by becoming national board certified, which qualifies them to teach anywhere in the United States. Did you know that Wake County has ranked as #1 in the nation in the total number of national board certified teachers? Let's give Wake County a hand. When I was a student, I liked the teachers who were tough, tolerated little or no foolishness, and required you to participate and apply yourself to learn as much as possible. That was a confidence builder. I recall one teaching technique that was used often by my teachers. You were called on to go to the blackboard, complete a math problem, conjugate a verb, diagram a sentence in English, and translate a sentence from English to French. They did not ask you to volunteer. The classroom was utilized as a safe haven for students to define and refine their abilities and talents. Technology is consuming the institution of education. Whiteboards have become smart boards. There are apps that translate languages and diagram sentences. Telephones are pocket-sized computers, and tablets are being used in preschool classes. But there is no technology that exists that can take the place of an outstanding teacher. Loving, caring, loving, caring teachers made sure that students' personal needs were met. I will never forget my favorite teacher in high school who inspired me to become a teacher. She was nicknamed Hawk because she tolerated no foolishness. She was very competent, and she required us to learn as much as we could. She encouraged us to do our very best and was a dedicated hard worker. She lent me my lunch money, $1.25 every week. Oh, that was cheap back during those days. During my junior and senior years, so that I would not have to bring cold biscuits of peanut butter and whatever else Grandma could find to fill them with. I worked ironing clothes weekly for a neighbor in order to repay her. Being a positive voice to motivate students who have so many problems is a tremendous challenge for a teacher. Gun violence is rampant in schools. In my years of teaching, I never had to worry about guns or knives being brought to school. In the mid-90s, policemen would secure the campus mainly to deter fights and drug use. Teachers did not go to college and become certified to become a policeman or a security guard. In the past, children broke home rules and school rules just as they do today. However, the fear of the consequences brought better results in child behavior. A teacher did not have to ask students multiple times in 1 hour to stop talking and acting up in class. The fear of a spanking at school and from home, from the parent, helped to curb that tongue. I was known for maintaining good control of my classes. It was because, amen, it was because I respected my students and they respected me. I did not tolerate inappropriate behavior, abusive language, improper dress, and laziness. I did not give up on requiring them to learn ASDF, JKL Semi without looking at that keyboard. Yes, I had a reputation of being a very strict teacher who demanded the best from all of my students. And today, when I bump into my former students, I get the best greeting any teacher could ask for. I am so glad that you were my teacher. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote an editorial in the college newspaper while attending Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, entitled "The Purpose of Education." He wrote, "At this point, I wonder whether or not education is fulfilling its purpose. The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. But education which stops with efficiency may prove the greatest menace to society. The most dangerous criminal may be the man gifted with reason, but with no morals."
Okay. Next up, we will hear from Mr. Dwight Rogers, one of the co-chairs of the MLK Celebration Committee. But before that, we're going to hear from Mr. Wayne Baer. He is a retired principal from what is now Garner Magnet High School, but he was the principal during 1968 to 1971, and that was such a critical time period of desegregation. And I can only imagine that Mr. Baer had to rely on his moral compass to determine which direction to go when there were so many voices that were saying desegregation was the wrong thing to do, it was a mistake. So he's here today to share with us some of his experiences from 1968 to 1971. Please welcome Mr. Baer.
Ms. Marsh, Mayor Williams, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to be able to speak to this celebration of the life and work of Dr. King. Dr. King's most famous speech talked about the need for fair treatment, equal opportunity for all boys and girls. A timing issue that I think may be significant. At the time of Dr. King's assassination in the spring of 1968, steps were being taken to equalize educational opportunities for all students in Garner. Specific plans to merge Garner Consolidated High School on Garner Road and Garner High School on Powell Drive were approved early in 1968. Thereafter, I was named to be principal of the new desegregated Garner Senior High School to be located on Spring Drive. My comments will focus on those first 3 years, the period of time I was principal there, as Ms. Marsh has said. In the spring of '68, in preparation for the opening of that next school year, several cross visitations of students and staff representatives from the two existing high schools met and discussed items of concern particularly to students. School mascots, school colors, school activities. These students actually formed and made joint recommendations to the administration. The early visitations I referred to tended to soften fears and anxieties about the effects of merging the high schools. Perhaps the greatest benefit from the cross visitations and other initiatives of that period was the growing ease of working together, an attitude which carried over to the following year when merger became real. The new desegregated Garner Senior High School opened on Tuesday following Labor Day in 1968. As many of the people who have been around as long as I have can remember, the school was still under construction. There were no evidences placed in the building of trophies or colors or student activities from either of the two schools which preceded it by design. The intent was for Garner Senior High School to start with a clean slate as a different and new school and develop their own student activities and their own identities. As we went into the year, we, for those 3 years I referenced, had typical academic and student activities for high schools of that period of time. While there were normal individual disciplinary problems, they were solved in normal manners. There was no violence, no massive disruptions such as those that were being publicized throughout the country in those days.
Good evening. To God be the glory. It is an honor as well as a privilege to come before you to dramatize a speech and theory of a great man, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I have a dream. So I go back to the South, not in despair. I go back to the South, not with the feeling we are caught in a dark dungeon which will never lead to a way out. I go back believing that the new day is coming. So this afternoon, I have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a desert state sweltering with the heat of injustice and oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that one day my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day the state of Alabama, whose governor lips are presently dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, will be transformed into a situation where the little black girls and boys will be able to join hands with the little white girls and boys and walk together as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley should be exalted, every hill and mountain will be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith which I return to the South. With this faith, we'll be able to hew out the mountain of despair, a stone of hope. With this faith, we'll be able to transform the jangling discourse of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we'll be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we'll be free one day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, tears of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside let freedom ring. And if America's to be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the hiking Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the Cavatious Peaks of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. When we let freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we'll be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black man and white man, Jews and Gentiles, Protestant Catholics, will be able to stand together and say, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. Thank you.
I would say that the dream lives. The dream lives. I'd like to ask Angie Micas if you would please come around and come up on the stage, please. And while she is coming, our Lord Jesus said, as you've done it to the least of these, Angie is someone who has cared for each of these, each and every single one of us. And if you know her If you've ever been around her, you know the dream lives in her heart. The love lives in her heart, in your heart. The graciousness, the kindness, the wonder. You can see her caring for elderly people who are alone, who need a friend, someone just to listen. She's so busy, but those ears are always there to hear. And those arms are always there to care. Thanksgiving, she opens up her restaurant for free to those who have no home, to those who have a place they need to be, someone to care. And the most important thing, though, is not the food that she shares, it's that she knows names. And that when people come around her, they are somebody. Years ago, during the Dr. King era, people would hold signs, "I am somebody." When you're around Angie, you are somebody. And it's so wonderful, and she is so deserving. Someone once wrote a little poem, "I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day." People tell me that every Sunday after church. I don't understand. But here we have Angie, who lives the dream, who walks the walk, who embodies the grace and love of the dream come true that Dr. Martin Luther King stood for. Angie, it's an honor to stand here with you and present you with this certificate recognizing your outstanding service to all of us and all the people of Garner. And no one could ever deserve it more. God bless you.
Okay. All right. Ever since I found out about this, I had so many things going through my head that I was screaming at everybody, please help me get this together. You know, I don't know what to say. I ramble on all the time when I'm at the restaurant and people listen and they clap and, you know, but it's a little bit different here. So I'm going to try my best not to get all emotional and just get this over with so we can move on with everything. First of all, I would like to say thank you to my family for always being there for me. Even though I was very opinionated and had a one-track mind on what I was doing, now I realize that it was God's plan for everything I had to go through. Second of all, I'd like to thank the town of Garner for always picking me up when I fell down on my knees. No matter what happened, there was always somebody there to say, Angie, get back up. Come on, do better. You know, when a door would close, 2 or 3 more would open. Third, I'd like to thank God. Now I know everything that I went through was His plan. Being a single mother, raising 2 boys on my own, having to be the mother and the father, making the decisions on what was best for them. And sometimes it wasn't best as they saw it for them, but it was in my eyes, you know. And now I know, like I said, when I look back, that it was God's plan. He had to make me into this woman that would be working 120 hours a week. Running around just as crazy, taking care of everything that needs to be taken care of at the restaurant, the Old Greens Grill. Everybody told me, Angie, hire somebody. No, I got this. No, I want to do this. I like being there at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. I enjoy and feel blessed that everybody just shows up and they wait and they, it doesn't matter what color they are, if they're rich or poor. And, you know, I see millionaires sitting with the poorest people and the poorest people buying the millionaire's breakfast. You know, I've witnessed some amazing and very humbling experiences that it makes me stronger every day to do what I do. So I guess if you would have told me 20 years ago that I would be running a restaurant that was successful and I would be able to feed 400 people with the help of the community and God and everybody that offered to help me, I would laugh at you and say, no, that's not going to happen. You know, I'm not going to be a successful business owner. You know, I have so many things going through my head. I really want to thank the town and everybody in it for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself, for allowing me to live out my dream and to continue to live out my dream and supporting me through everything. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Okay, at this time, we would like to welcome Reverend Dr. Charles Brooks. He is the pastor of Poplar Springs Christian Church. He was appointed pastor in 1990, and he's called Garner home for the past 24 years. He works to keep Dr. King's dream alive through his ministry and work throughout the community. Welcome, Reverend Dr. Charles Brooks.
Those are the people that go to Poplar Springs. Good afternoon, everybody. It is good to be here. I am honored, Mr. Mayor, and to the town council people, to all of elected officials and Garner community who have gathered here today. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to serve and to come in this capacity as we celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. My wife, Regina, is here. Would she please stand? I want you all to see who she is. Thank God for her. The year was 1968. The date was February 4th. The place was Ebenezer Baptist Church, downtown Atlanta, Georgia. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. preached the sermon that Sunday morning. He preached from the biblical passage, Mark chapter 10, verses 35 through 40. He titled his message, The Drum Major Instinct. It was an adaptation of a 1952 homily by J. Wallace Hamilton, a white liberal Methodist preacher. In the sermon, King told the congregation how he would like to be remembered at his own funeral. He told them that he would like not to be remembered by his personal achievements, such as his education or his face being on the cover of Time magazine. He would not like to be remembered by being the youngest man winning ever the Nobel Peace Prize. But he wanted to be remembered as a man with drum major instincts. Exactly 2 months later, April 4th, 1968, Dr. King was shot and killed by a sniper's bullet in Memphis, Tennessee. January 19th, 2014. Almost 46 years later, I stand before the gathered community of Garner, North Carolina, to celebrate a drum major for justice. As we celebrate the life of this great American, I want to return to the passage that he selected 46 years ago. I want to challenge every citizen to accept the challenge he offered his daddy's congregation on February 4th, 1968. And for you, I have selected the same biblical passage that he had on that historic Sunday morning. Mark chapter 10, 35 through 40, from the New International Version. Listen. Then James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came to him. Teacher, they said, we want you to do whatever we ask. Wow. What do you want me to do for you, he asked. They replied, let one of us sit at your right hand and the other at your left hand in your glory. You do not know what you are asking, Jesus said. Can you drink the cup I drink, or be baptized with the baptism I am baptized with? We can, they answered. Jesus said to them, you will drink the cup I drink and be baptized with the baptism I am baptized with. But to sit at my right hand or left is not for me to grant. These places belong to those for whom they have prepared. Everybody wants to be somebody great. One can make it to the highest office in the land and still struggle to be great. This was the desire of those two disciples of Jesus, James and John. Dr. King understood that if this kind of attitude dominated a person's heart, such behavior would breed exclusivism and prejudice. History supports this. Remember Nazi Germany in the 1930s and 40s? I can go deeper than that. Time Warner Cable Western Channel 641 supports this theory. The fastest gun in the West is always challenged by another gunfighter who thinks he's the best. I can start a fight right here in this gathered community with one simple statement. Are you ready? Boys are smarter than girls and men are superior to women. Wow, that ought to get you to talking. Jesus understood where this kind of thinking would lead us. So he challenged his followers to move away from this desire. First, he raised a question, perhaps in hope of jump-starting their brains. Jesus asked, you say you want to be next to me? Well, are you able to drink from the cup that I drink from? James and John, they probably peeked into the future and they heard the 21st century senator from Illinois pen the phrase to his campaign, yes, we can. Jesus told them that you will drink from the cup indeed, but making you great is not mine to give. If you truly want to be great, you have to earn it for yourself. This is the same thing that Dr. King was saying to the Ebenezer Baptist Church congregation. Greatness requires work. Not even the Lord will hand it to you. If you want to be great, then become a drum major. More specifically, a drum major for justice. I wondered what Dr. King implied when he adapted this analogy to his sermon. To find out, I had to do some extensive research on a drum major, even before I considered the definition of justice. Look what I found. A drum major is not the band director, but carries out the instructions of the band director. The drum major does not play an instrument, but inspires those who do. A drum major inspires people to join the band. The drum major does not hold the position of first chair in the trumpet section, the saxophone section, the flute or clarinet, or not even the percussion section. But the drum major puts the band in proper formation just before the performance. While the band is performing, the drum major adds a little enhancement to the band's performance by giving a little performance of his or her own. Yes, the drum major may not produce the sound, but the drum major leads the band in bringing their gifts together. That's what happened here today. The drum major is a person of distinction. That is who Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was, a drum major in leading the fight for justice and peace in America, a drum major in bringing communities, black and white, together. And so, as we remember him, we remember the words of Jesus, which gave the foundation to Dr. King's sermon, which gave foundation to what Dr. King believed. If you want to be great, work for it. Help somebody. Angie provides our example. Help somebody become their best. And in return, you will become great. Let's test this theory. Dr. King experienced fire bombings, police brutality, racist threats, name callings, FBI surveillances, KKK intimidation. But he encouraged the band, the community of the 1950s and 60s. He encouraged them to come together. He died, but now, in almost every major city in America, he has a street that bears his name. I think the theory works. The country in which he lived and died now sets aside a special day signed by President Ronald Reagan, a national holiday in honor of him. I can imagine Jesus asking Martin Luther King, "Can you drink from the cup which I drink from?" Martin Luther King replies, "Here I am, Lord. Use me to your glory." Now you must do the same. Garner, I must do the same. The community, the churches, the schools, black, white, all come together. We all are called to be the drum major for justice. Mahalia Jackson sung it at his funeral. This is what she sung at his request. If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or song, if I can show somebody they're traveling wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. You can cut it off when I'm only 39 years old, but if I help somebody, it's not in vain. If I can do my duty as a Christian ought, if I can bring back beauty to a world uproared, if I can spread love's message that the Master taught, then my living shall not be in vain. And that was the drum major for justice.
There's a great camp meeting.
There's a great camp meeting, Lord, a great camp meeting in the promised land. Oh, walk together, children, don't you get weary. Walk on, my children, don't you get weary. Just to walk together, children, don't you get weary. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Oh, walk together, children, don't you get weary. Walk on, my children, don't you get weary. Just to walk together, children, don't you get weary. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Never tire, walk and 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 never tire. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Oh, walk together, children, don't you get weary. Walk on, my children, don't you get weary. Just to walk together, children, don't you get weary. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Go to sing and never tire, 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 sing and never tire. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Oh, walk together, children, don't you get weary. Walk on, my children, don't you get weary. Just to walk together, children, don't you get weary. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Go to shout and never tire, 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 shout and never tire. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Oh, walk together, children, don't you get weary. Sing on, my children, don't you get weary. Just to shout together, children, don't you get weary. There's a great, there's a great, there's a great camp meeting in the promised land.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're coming to the conclusion of this celebration of Martin Luther King's birthday, and let's give everyone a round of applause. Did we not get enlightened this afternoon? Did we? It takes such a tremendous amount of effort to put one of these programs together, and with Mayor Ronnie Williams being the lead, along with the town of Garner, I'd like to thank Mayor Williams first and the town of Garner for going out and just doing what they're doing right now to bring the community together as one, to work together in the strength of diversity. So let's give them a hand as well. And then we have the Garner Concerned Citizens United with our matriarch, Ms. Helen Phillips here. She's celebrating her 87th birthday. Yes. And I know I will leave someone out, so I'm going to stop right there. Miss Angie, we love you, lady. We do. We do. Whenever I can get in there, I get in there. I'll try my best to. And for the speaker of the evening, I consider him one of my mentors, the Reverend Dr. Brooks, with the drum major instinct. Amen. Yes. I can remember growing up as a child when Dr. King was alive and just feeling the anxiety with my own family of what would happen. But it's amazing what can happen when we come together and we're led by God. Now we are living in a diverse community, moving forward to heights we've never seen before. And I will never forget what Dr. King would say in during some of his trying times. He would say, like, I know you're tired, but it won't be long. How long? Not long. No lie can live forever. How long? Not long. For you shall reap what you sow. How long? Not long. For the arc of the moral universe is long, but it sways towards justice. How long? For truth crushed to earth shall rise again. Amen. Thank you all.
We shall